and they're going to say, how did you know where the place was? And he's going to have to explain in his official report, a parrot said the name. A parrot on a boat said a name.
Yeah.
And what I did was I then through British government resources
Hello and welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. I'm Jack and this is Derek. This is episode 012 and we are going to discuss For Your Eyes Only. That's what this podcast gets its name from. Yes. For Your Ears Only. That's, yeah. But unlike that film, our podcast is pretty good, hopefully. As Derek has described in the way here. So,
why did you take a drink during the intro? You're a professional.
So here we go, Derek.
You didn't say 1981 and directed by John Glenn.
Well, do we need to? He'll be back.
He will be back. He's back many times.
This is John Glenn's directorial debut, not just for James Bond, but in life.
Yeah. There's a fun fact about John Glenn.
This is the first film of the 80s, and
it shows.
Does it show?
No, actually, no. I thought the Moonraker was a bit more 80s.
It does. I think it shows in the
hairstyles.
The hair, maybe a little. Not so much the fashion, but definitely, yeah, the tailoring. I think. Here we go. Right. So, what's your first thoughts?
I don't really think much of this movie. I'm not really into it. I actually had a really hard time watching it for a second time.
Oh, really?
I just wasn't. Nothing grabbed me. I wasn't enamoured with the story. I wasn't enamoured. I get why they made this, and I get the whole purpose of this movie and why they put it together, but I just thought it was like. Moonraker was like. Moonraker was so almost far-fetched.
Yeah.
Going into side, and they wanted to go the opposite to bring it back down.
Yes.
And I think they overshot the mark.
Do you think they like dampened it a bit too much? Like, really?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of good sequences through it. Like, I think it is quite entertaining. It's a Sunday movie that you put on in the background you don't need to pay attention to, because even if you pay attention to it,
you don't know.
It doesn't really. There's nothing. There's a lot of plot bits where it didn't really make a lot of sense. We spoke in previous episodes about filler. Mm-hmm. This entire movie is filler, in my opinion. I'm sorry, John, but this
filler movie.
There was sequences that were like 25 minutes long. Mm-hmm. That I was like, I'm sick of snow. I can't look at snow anymore. Give me something else.
Could have been 2 minutes. Yeah, I get it.
That's where I feel the movie is come from.
So not a good start to the new decade.
No, I don't really know how this movie did commercially either, but I don't know anyone who's ever said this is like one of the greats.
They're top. Yeah, nobody's ever said that. Coming into it, I was the same.
I think it did its job. It brought James Bond back to reality for those who weren't. So there was probably people who hated Moonraker.
Yeah,
who hated it and even went back to it and over and just didn't like it and didn't like the whole sci-fi and then wanted this. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, maybe they liked this.
Yeah, well, I think I'm one of those people, because I kind of didn't like the fact that we were in space and it was very far-fetched. Mm-hmm. But now we're back to like a real gritty, down-to-earth, he's doing spies and he's killing people on Earth like he should be. I kind of thought this was a step up, bringing it back to almost quite a 60s thing where it's all about spying. It's not about massive evil guys with layers trying to take over the world. I thought James Bond had too much on his plate in this movie. I thought they gave him too much responsibility. Listen, something's been sunk that's went really bad, and we need to go find it. We need you to do everything. You go find this guy, find this other person, hunt it down. See, when we find it, you have to go and destroy it. You have to do absolutely everything here. Could we get a team of few people? No. Just you. It's of critical importance that we find this, so we're going to send one guy. Yeah.
That the entire world knows who you are.
One 54-year-old man.
Yes, he was actually. He didn't look that old. But
There were
when you
some scenes.
when you compare him to older Roger or previous Roger,
Yeah.
you could see there was quite a difference. But nah, I thought Roger. I have no critiques of Roger's performance.
Good.
I thought he was good.
Well, you mentioned he had a lot to do, so the time has come for you to tell us exactly what he did.
Oh, that was nice. Nice segue. Well, I have 2 minutes to do this. I think this will be I said I think this will be the shortest yet.
So, a recurring segment where one of us has to describe the synopsis of the film in 2 minutes and under without saying James Bond stuff happens or spy stuff happens. Now, I would have said this was quite hard because he does have to do a lot of stuff, and also I can't really remember the plot because he does too much and there's too many characters. So, I'm intrigued if you think you can do this pretty fast. So,
I think I can do this in a minute.
a minute?
Yeah.
That
Well,
would be a record.
please still give me 2 minutes.
No. Right, so I think last time I thought I did well at 1:45.
All right.
So let's see how good you are. And if you paid attention.
Okay, give me 2 minutes then.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the movie continues with continuing off from Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Bond is visiting the grave of his wife Tracy. He's then attacked, or a helicopter's taken over by Blofeld, but we don't see his face. James Bond then retrieves control of the helicopter and drops Blofeld in a chimney. I don't know what was going on there. Then it opens with a boat. The boat seems to be a cover for the British government snooping around the sea and monitoring things. A mine hits the boat, sinks it. The British government have to find this, but they realise the Russians will be aware of it as well. There is apparently one person on Earth who can dive down to recover these things. James Bond is sent to find this person because he's been killed and he needs to find the assassin for it. He goes to find the assassin. He finds the daughter of the person who's tried to get killed. She wants revenge. He just wants to find who it was that paid for all this stuff. This then leads to finding another contact somewhere in the Alps. Goes to find this contact. A large blonde man tries to kill him for no reason. A young blonde girl is very promiscuous for no explanation whatsoever. Half an hour sequence comes over where he's almost ready to be killed by this man. Oh, I almost forgot that he's seen a guy at the pool who had glasses and a middle part, and Q could find this man, and that's how the connection comes off from there.
Yep.
What happens after that? Then, when they get away, they're still trying to find this other guy. He realises then that the guy who he thought he could trust was talking about this other gangster because he was shipping heroin, but it turns out that the real bad man is the guy who looks like Lenin, who looks like a communist.
30 seconds.
30 seconds left? Okay. And then the guy who's the gangster, the opium smuggler person, turns out to be an ally, wants to help out James Bond, this other person. A parrot gives away the location. They go to this location, they find this device, the Russian tries to get it, he throws it off a cliff, it's destroyed, and then that's pretty much the end of the movie.
1:56. Well done.
I think I went a bit longer because I started getting outraged. A parrot!
You get critiquing it rather than just saying.
Yeah.
But good job. Very well done.
I think just the I forgot about the, what was it called? The identigraph?
The ATAC thing.
No, the identigraph.
Oh, right. The Q's
What
machine.
hair does he have? Well, we found his exact hair. Essentially, just get a sketch artist.
But it's the 80s, that's digital.
Yeah, all the technology comes in. I think we kind of touched on there in terms of the whole point of this movie being made was to try and bring it back. I don't really know how close it was to the book.
Well, there are elements, lots of elements from the book.
Is it Cold War-esque?
Yes, right. But it's based on 2 stories. For your eyes
there are
only,
many stories, aren't there?
short stories, if you can hear that. ASMR. There's like 4 stories in this book. A View to a Kill being one of them. And this other one called Risquito, I think. Right. And Quantum of Solace is also in this.
Oh.
So it's a kind of a bit of both.
Yeah, they wrote, it was, who's the guy that's in all James Bond movies now? Who's the producer?
Michael G. Wilson.
He co-wrote
this
script. Movie screenplay.
So yeah, there's some, as you can see if you're watching on the cover of this, they kept that scene in with the arrow where she crossbows the guy at the swimming pool. So that's kind of directly from the book. Again, yeah, it's about Bond has to go assassinate the guy who killed the family at the start of the film. What we called?
Who killed the family who go diving?
Yes, that's really is a revenge story to M because they're M's friend. So,
oh right, but M's not in this. M's not in this movie at all.
No.
Is that because the actual actor?
Because the actual actor died.
Yeah.
Yes, Bernard Lee died. So
Yeah.
that's why it's Bill Tanner,
It's the
Chief of Staff, and
Ministry of Defence
guy.
Yeah,
But
I think the Cold War. I get the Cold War influence of saying, okay, there's this. Let's call it a lecture.
Yeah,
because it's very
basically.
like From Russia with Love.
That's not in the novel, no.
Do you know there is actually a true story of a vessel being sunk, and I think it was a Russian vessel, and the Americans really wanted it, but they didn't know how to get it up.
Hey.
You're a child. They didn't know how to retrieve this vessel, so they started trying to get engineers on to design like things with claws to go. But then they didn't. Do you know what it was? It was a missile. It was a
nuke.
It was an intercontinental ballistic missile, and they wanted to get it so they wouldn't break it because they wanted this. I don't really know why they wanted it, but it was one of those episodes in that Netflix spy show. It was actually very interesting. It reminded me of that when I was watching this about, okay, this thing is here, we need to retrieve it. It did also make me wonder, right, well, this guy who's apparently handcuffed to a desk who can't destroy this
thing,
can't
reach it or something.
And then when they go down to the submarine, they go, oh, we need to get this thing to try and destroy it, and they can't destroy it because the Michelin Man is there trying to grab it and stuff. And then they bring it up to the boat, and I'm like, how hard is this thing to destroy though? How waterproof can this thing be in the 80s?
Yeah, the ATAC machine.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. Why can't the British government go and find it?
It has to be James Bond.
Why?
Because
there's only one diver who can find it. They found it in 5 minutes. This was 60% into the movie.
Yeah, there was over.
Why are you... Alright, you want to go hunt this assassin? Okay, go hunt the assassin. I will go look for this thing and make sure it's destroyed. Or, how about me being the paid assassin? I will find the person that killed your family and everything else like that. Why don't you take the sub and you go and find that thing? And if you can destroy that, and then we'll meet back in a week's time.
See who was successful.
Yeah, and just... Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it...
Why James Bond had to go through that whole thing. I think just because he was in it from the start.
Yeah, and he had no real allies, and he kept making bad judgments. But I think this story was just... I'm going to be honest, I just thought the story was so dull. I just didn't... The movie, and I know they were trying to bring it back and ground it from Moonraker, but it was just... Even the bit, like, when they blew up the Lotus... The whole point of that is apparently that White Lotus, which looked like a different car from the one in The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
The reason they blew that up is because they wanted to tell the audience that, okay, the submarine car's gone.
Yeah.
You don't need... Bond doesn't use these gadgets and stuff anymore. I don't know what kind of burglar alarm burglar alarm has, like, you try the door and it just
the whole
blows.
car explodes. Now no one has the car.
If I can't have it, then you can't have it.
Which is exactly like the end of the film.
Yeah, and it's just, right, okay, so the car's blown up, and then they have to get in this other car.
Yes.
Which again
talk
is
about
like...
the 2CV.
Yeah. I did like that
CV.
chase. I did
Yes,
actually.
that was a great scene.
I thought that was entertaining. Again, long.
A bit long, yes.
They had no
All the
broken
action
bones,
scenes
even though they flipped the car and landed, let's be honest, on their head. And then went all the way... Like, that car has zero suspension. But they were still fine.
Yep.
Apparently, it reverses faster than it does going forward.
Which is insane.
I like that. I had a lot of... I can't even pick a Bond moment out of it, but it had a lot of Bond moments from that. The car itself is iconic.
Yeah, that would be the Bond moment.
Yeah.
I would say the actual 2CV, the double take he makes when he's like, oh my god, I have to get into this car.
Yeah, because it's so ridiculous, but that's quite comical.
Yes.
But
when you said comical, that reminds me, it's kind of it's kind of trying to be two things at once. I think this film, is it trying to be serious or is it trying to be comedic?
I don't think it knows what it wants
Because
to do. Yeah,
it's as you say, it's a straightforward kind of down to earth story, but it does stupid things like the opening scene and the last scene.
The opening scene is, I'll go as far as saying it's the most ridiculous entrance to date. I can't
The
think.
Blofeld scene.
Yeah, I can't think of another one. I couldn't even remember that from when I seen this when I was younger. I was like, what's going on here? Like, what? Okay, I get that we're not seeing his face because it's not the same actor. Okay, right, he's in a wheelchair. Secondly, this is 10 years on from his accident. Why does he still have a neck brace?
Yes.
Is he a benefit scam? Like, what?
Another arm to Spectre. Benefit frauds.
How is this cat still alive? This cat has been shot at so many times.
The cat with its diamond collar.
Yes.
So apparently it's supposed to be... Well, when they shot the scene, they were like, this is directly after Eleanor Majesty's Secret Service. That's why he still has the neck brace. It's supposed to be directly after it, so it connects you with the actors being the same person.
I get that they were trying to make the connection that even though this is Roger Moore, this is still the same story. This is still James Bond. However, continuity is a word that's never put through the MGM offices.
No.
Because that does it. Surely if they went, oh, this is meant to be after that. James Bond never went to the moon. Like, or not, well, he did, but James Bond never went to space. Like, why? What's the point in that? He just made like 300 million. Of course, he went to space.
So that doesn't make the continuity doesn't make sense, really.
No, continuity is probably the weakest part of all these movies.
It just doesn't
make...
when they bring the same actors back for different roles and stuff.
Yeah,
but I think it was also because of the real James Bond villain, Kevin.
Yes,
and he was about to make a film, so they had to kill off once and for all Blofeld.
They never say his name.
No,
there's just a bald man with a cat who doesn't kill anyone, laughs, and then.
But they wanted to kill him off to say that we don't rely on this character. Do what you want, Kevin, because that was really the whole idea.
Kevin didn't
of it.
even use him.
Not
no, he did.
He
had
was
that,
in it.
that man with the big beard.
Yeah.
I watched that movie again.
Yeah, so you're right. That I wasn't sure what the tone of the film was. Is it going to be serious or not? Because again, you have the end scene where Margaret Thatcher's in it.
And the parrot?
And the parrot that talks to her.
Before we rip apart the film anymore, do you want to do the questions?
Yeah, we're quite far into this.
You're the question master this week.
Right, okay. Question number 1. As we've just talked about the opening scene, we'll go for a question from that. Right, so Bond visits a grave of his late wife, Tracy. But what year was Tracy born? Very simple one.
Doesn't matter. MGN will change it at some
She'll
point.
change it.
That's a good question. And the opening 10 seconds coming through.
If you don't see it, you'll forget.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got...
Do you want to talk about history? Did you have any history?
I don't think there's anything in history that really influences this movie.
No.
I think they tried a lot with Moonraker to try and essentially go big or go home, and then with this one, they couldn't get the director, they couldn't get Ken Adam because Ken Adam was away in America doing something, so they had a different set designer. They had quite a lot of new people on the movie as well to try different things, and I don't know what they were trying to do. I get that they were trying to be safe.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie, I don't know how much it made money-wise, but I feel as though they were just quite happy to get this movie out.
I would say, like you mentioned, they've got a different team. They do have a different team behind the scenes of the film because basically it has a lower budget, a lot lower, like half.
Oh yeah, because all the sets were...
It has
totally,
like half a budget of Moonraker because United Artists were basically about to go bankrupt because there are a few movies they were doing were flops, so they had no money.
Oh, right.
So they couldn't bring in the team or do the budget. So that's why it's like a full new team of people. That's why
cheaper.
John Glenn's doing it because he was like the second unit director or something in the old films, and they just like, right, we need you.
Yeah.
Somebody step up to the mark.
It's very fire and rehire, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just like
basically.
all the big names are gone. Something interesting I learnt about John Glenn is on this movie and subsequent movies that John Glenn was involved in, he always uses like a bird flying off a ledge, startling the character. And I don't have any other examples of the movies he's done, but you
like
know,
a trademark thing.
Yeah, he seems to always have it. Like there's obviously when he's in James Bond at the end is on the rock face and he grabs it and the dove flies out.
Yeah.
And he almost dies. In other movies, he does it when people are on a ledge outside a window. In fact, I think John Glenn does. Is it License to Kill or
Yes.
Living Daylights? And he's on the windowsill and the pigeon comes up. Mm-hmm. That's him. That's John again. He just has one pigeon.
The same pigeon.
Release the pigeon.
Pigeon's got many acting credits.
Yeah, John Glenn does that.
Yeah,
but
he's going to be the director for the rest of the 80s, I think.
Did he do the subsequent films? Okay, so now we see there's always a pigeon somewhere.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, I get even about the comical side of things, because even, I mean, I don't know if this is far-fetched, even comical, the bit when he's trying to get away from the guys next to the pool and he's got the parasol.
Oh, and he jumps off and he like floats down.
Does
like,
that work?
like Mary Poppins.
I don't know if that worked. It was one of those moments where me and Rachel were watching it. I'm like, what's he got? And then he did it, and we just looked at each other like, oh no, is this what we're settling in for now? So yeah, they obviously got rid of all the gadgets. They still had Q, but Q did nothing. Yeah, Q had that identigraph. Mm-hmm. Q then showed up with a beard at some point.
Yep, in the monastery.
That wasn't really, they took away the gadgets. They took away the smart car. They took away really any sort of spying. True. All that James Bond had to do was just not die. And a lot of it, the whole ski scene, I think the ski scene to me is just how many winter sports can we attack James Bond through? So there was a bit at the start where
the ski jump.
There was the ski jump.
The bobsleigh.
The bobsleigh. What do I have him running? Ski jump, the bobsleigh.
The shooting thing?
Was that, we had a rifle, so he was just shooting. He was shooting through the trees, and he got away. There was the ice hockey match. What was that about?
They were just barging into him, not actually trying to kill him.
And then he was like throwing them into the goal.
Yeah,
there was a few other things.
That was going to be a question, but I never counted how many goals he had.
Was it not 3?
Yeah, well, I think it goes off 3 times, but
like that whole sequence was so long. Like unbelievably long. There was a lot of talking. There's movie of him just meeting someone, or you go meet them, and then BB came. What was that about?
The character.
Would genuinely, what was that all about? Like that was unpleasant to watch most of the time, because it was just kind of like, how is she meant to be? But then he's like, no. But then he's just like, what about? I was like, I don't like any of this. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of tropes that aren't in it. The sort of sex thing being one of them. No, he doesn't order a vodka martini either. But that idea that BB girl is like 20, 21. The other girl who avenging her parents, she's only like mid-20s as well.
He's French.
James Bond's supposed to be like mid-50s. But it's kind of, in a way, it's a bit redeeming of him to say no. I think that's sort of redeeming. I think that was actually more Roger's influence. He was like, I'm in my 50s, I can't be sleeping with this 20-year-old in the film. Yeah. But then at the end, he kind of does.
It was quite, I thought it was quite funny of him when he did say no, and he was like, oh no, just put some clothes, we need to go somewhere. Because it was like, that's very un-James Bondy.
Yes.
It's almost, like, do you know what this whole movie is? This whole movie's opposite day.
Yeah.
It's no exciting, there's no gadgets.
Boring. Very boring.
It's, I thought the whole thing was a bit odd. She made me generally very uncomfortable. She actually is a skier, like a professional winter Olympian, I believe. But yeah, I didn't understand why that was also a thing.
Why she needed to be there.
Why was she the character? I mean, I guess it was like, oh, well, I'll meet you at the ski rink, and then I'll go to the ski rink, and then these 4 guys will appear, and will they kill him? No, they're just going to like push him a bit, and then see what happens.
But they kills his
pal in the car. How they got into the car? Because as far as I was aware,
The guy would explode if he tried. He's still in it.
imagine there's just like it goes out and there's just the henchman unconscious, and then a jar of a garbage pal, just a skeleton inside it. Well, at least he didn't talk. So yeah, I didn't really like that whole winter. I thought the winter sequence was Bond moment A. There was a lot of Bond moments. Charles Dance was in it as well.
Charles Dance is in it, which I probably need to apologise because I put him in my remake.
You said maybe, but you didn't actually put him in.
That's okay.
You said
then.
you might put him in because when I said him, I was like, hey, Jack maybe said that.
I think maybe it's kind of the ski scenes and the snow sequences are overdone in Bond now. That's been like 12 films, and I think they've been in like 5.
Yeah,
and there's nothing new they could add. The same, I have that gripe, but with the underwater sequences, like all he does is seem to fight sharks nowadays. And
that's what he fight. There was something I found interesting about the underwater sequences, is they weren't underwater.
No.
So when I was looking at it, I went, that looks a bit different from before, and I was like, whoa, Roger can keep his eye. Roger's blinking a lot underwater, like. And I was like,
blinking.
I was like, maybe because I thought maybe it's like a fan, especially with points there, and that's how they did it. So they had the backdrop, which looks good, and for Roger and Crossbow Lady,
Melina.
yes, there was something about it where, but do you know what it was? She had a breathing issue.
Right.
That was it. There was something. I don't know if it was like a condition or stuff, but she couldn't hold her breath underwater at all, or bad things would happen, or something like that.
Yeah.
And they said they couldn't underwater, so what they would do is they would shoot everything outside of water, but they just slowed the footage and they put a fan underneath them, so it blew their hair, but not their skin. So it blew their hair and everything was slow motion, so then they would look around.
Oh, as if they're underwater?
Yeah, and then when I heard that and looked back, I went... And it does actually look quite good. There's nothing.
I wouldn't have known that it wasn't underwater.
Yeah, there's nothing away from it that I thought that's
a good.
But it was quite good, especially when I looked back and I thought, these filmmakers are quite clever, aren't they?
Despite their boring.
Yeah, there actually wasn't a lot of water with this one. If anything,
he has to fight sharks. That shark's in it again. He fights the guy underwater in the big suit. That whole sequence goes on for longer than it needs to be as well.
And then there's like some kind of wrestling match between this other submarine, which is tiny in comparison. I'm like, just go away from him. Move away. Like, run away from this man.
I think you could probably have cut 20 minutes out of the film from the snow scene and the underwater scene, and it would still be the same film.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any difference.
It would still be good.
I
liked Melina.
Yeah, I thought she was good. Her hair.
Yeah.
Is that normal? Is that normal hair? She's a French model, apparently, and I knew she was dubbed.
Yes.
Yeah, I could tell from straight away. I was like, right. However, I thought...
Still in the 80s. Still dubbed in the 80s.
I thought what was very un-James Bondy as well, and very 80s action movie, almost like a drama, is see when like everyone in the boat is killed and she's left, when she like turns, and then the camera like zooms like, why? And I was like, this is just trying to show off like acting, like I can cry. I have watery eyes. Yeah, it's just zooming right in. I thought that's very un-James Bond because you're not the main character. This isn't your revenge story.
But it kind of is.
Like it kind of is, but then
it's about her parents, kind of as well. That's her motivation.
Was she like Bruce Wayne?
I know that she auditioned for Goodhead.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, I mean, she lost out
because she doesn't sound American.
But she probably
should be French, so that would have been better for Moonraker. And not better for the movie, just better for the set, for the money.
But yeah, I thought the villain, that's another thing onto itself. I didn't expect the sort of double. He's not actually a bad guy. He's a bad guy thing.
No,
I didn't expect that. I thought it was pretty good.
Don't even know how we met him. Even the second time around, I was like, "Who's this guy come from?" Clearly looks like.
Is it Christoph?
He clearly looks like Lenin.
Yeah,
this man is clearly a communist. And then the weird man with glasses. What was his name again? Locke. Look.
Yes, the silent
Yeah.
assassin.
What? Why?
But is he not like up there with one of the best henchmen because of his sinister, doesn't speak kind of thing?
I don't know. Is that not just like lack of acting?
Don't talk.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything. You just get that wee pin. I don't know. I did actually really like Columbo.
Columbo was
Yeah,
good.
I really liked him. It turns out that he was hired because it was the wife of Broccoli who was out to dinner one time and he was there. What's his name again? Is that like a one name?
Columbo.
No.
The character.
The actor's name.
I don't know the cat. I don't know.
I don't know.
Insert here.
We're such fans. When there was a dinner and she said, "Oh, you'd be really good at that. Albert should go do that." And he was like, "Okay."
Oh,
and
really?
just cast him,
Nice.
and that was it. And he brought there
over dinner.
And then there was another story as well where when they're on the boat, essentially it's just gangsters fighting each other at this point, and they're on the boat, trying to, and Locke's there and Columbo's there, and all the shots and stuff were going off, and it was blanks they were working with. One of them was not a blank.
Oh, how do you get that wrong? All right, Alec Baldwin.
So it wasn't a blank, and it fired, and it went next to his head.
Okay.
And it hit something, and it sparked, and it burst, and essentially stopped, and he looked, and it was just blood pouring down his head. And this was one of the few days that Albert Broccoli was on set watching it.
Oh dear.
And he grabbed him, and he put him in his car, and he drove him straight to hospital without doing it. So he was like, "Right, you're coming with me.
You're injured."
And took him to hospital. But no, the guy just thought that was hilarious. Like, he was shot through the head.
Oh, you thought it was funny? Almost died.
Yeah. Oh no, he was saying it like not a fond memory, but he was like, "I don't remember that happened." Oh, that's one of my on-set memories. Like, whoa, okay. Yeah, I really liked his character. I thought it was quite good. I thought it added.
He's very much like Kareem Bay.
Very much, yes.
Yes. The Lecter, the ATAC, his character, Kareem Bay, kind of parallels.
He's just relaxed and he just doesn't really care much. And he's like, do you know he's really is like, is also like Draco. Because he's like, I'm a gangster. He said, I do illegal things all the time. And I'll help you for this. So it's like, okay, right, we'll help out with that. And in the same way that in Her Majesty's Secret Service is looking to get
Tracy married, but
he's trying to get Spectre
out the way.
So he's quite happy to get into bed literally with this gangster family and go from there. So I thought that was quite good. But then the whole end sequence was just
the fight in the monastery thing.
Yeah,
scaling the mountain.
I just didn't understand what the whole point in this was. Like, they were like, "Oh no, but we need this one guy the guy who's clearly the second oldest person here. You climb up there and we'll just sit and we'll wait for you. And we'll wait for, I've got to be honest, hours for that to happen. Do you guys have like helicopters? Is there anything wrong? Like, I get the element of surprise.
Yeah.
But they can't go anywhere either.
They're stuck there.
What's the worst thing they're going to... What are they going to do? Hide it?
Yeah. Well, no, it's the element of surprise, I guess.
But
they're just going to be fortified and waiting for you and just shoot you as you appear.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there was no bystanders in this island thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just said, like, apparently this is a really important thing.
Uh-huh.
Send some attack helicopters in. Go at night, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't, just off the top of my head, anything other than this fucking 50-year-old guy climbing up there who has probably zero experience of climbing, but probably not climbed a lot. And almost falls off multiple times, and all that they do, he doesn't even have someone helping him.
No, they're just watching him.
I'll wait here with my crossbow that has a range of 20 feet.
Go, James, you do this.
Yeah, you go and do that, and then send in this wee bucket thing, and then we can go, oh no. I just thought that again was another sequence that was just too long. I was like, oh, it's so...
The scaling the mountain itself was pretty long.
Oh, it's a long way down there. And then after 5 minutes, I'm just like, please do something else. Like, I get that, oh, this guy's trying to hit the thing with his gun. Does he forget that he has a gun and he can shoot him?
Actually, think of that.
And then the end of it, the climax of the movie, the Russians going to get her. It throws it off, and they watch it. They watch it, and it just smashes. And I was like, oh, that was it. We actually didn't need a thermite. Like, it actually just breaks.
Derek, I have a feeling you don't like this film.
No, I don't even know if you could make it better. I just didn't really like it.
Let's
breathe.
Okay, so question two.
People are tuning out. He's very angry this week.
Okay.
Something's clearly going on at home.
Question 2. Right. I would like to know what is the name of the ship that the ATAC machine is on at the start of the film. The ship that sinks from the landmine. What's it called? Another easy one. It says, and it also shows you the name of the ship.
Also in the first 5 minutes.
It's also
you don't need to watch the rest of the movie.
Yeah, well, the thing about the end scene that I found out, which I thought was quite funny, is there is an actual monastery that was inhabited by like monks and stuff, and apparently the monks didn't want the filming to go on.
They didn't get paid.
They didn't get their money. They didn't get paid, and they didn't want it happening. And so they're making it difficult, and they like went to the government and everything. But apparently the government ruled that the James Bond crew could film there, and that the monks only owned the inside of their buildings. So James Bond could film on the outside and scale up the mountain and do all that, because the government owned the outside and the monks only owned the inside. So they were trying to like disrupt the shoot by apparently hanging their washing out the windows and stuff to make the shots look bad, and like hanging things out windows, and apparently they just got round it by filming a different mountain for the long shots and stuff.
Right. I like how the government stepped in and went, no, the government says this. Wonder who's any
backhanders.
Yeah. Tell those monks that we own the mountain. James Bond owns the mountain. Another thing as well, I thought, like, you know, this movie, a lot of the Roger movies, he starts to give reports and he says, oh, I've done this, and he explains why it's there. At the start of this, he gave a report as to something that happened. At the end of this entire mission, I assume that James Bond has to report everything that's happened. Also the fact that he's been in cahoots with a gangster, a heroin smuggler.
Yeah.
Yes. So he has to report everything. And they're going to ask, because obviously Q was sent over to this other place as well, and they're going to say, how did you know where the place was? And he's going to have to explain in his official report, a parrot said the name. A parrot on a boat said a name.
Yeah.
And what I did was I then through British government resources and the word that was said by a parrot. What's your source? That thing on the perch over there. A parrot
told me to go here. Yeah, the fact that the parrot moves the plot on is kind of silly. I'll say silly.
It didn't even happen in the Lion King. I think that, to me, says quite a lot. I think
it is a flat plot, yes.
Yeah,
but the characterization's good. I like there's lots of things in it that is actually pretty good. I like the death of the guy, the assassin guy with the glasses. He kicks the car and it falls off. That's a very dark James Bond moment.
Roger didn't want to do that, I heard. I think they were talking about the fact that the pin was the number one thing, and I always remembered it from my boy that he threw the pin, and then the pin was the weight,
yes,
and that they came out. And I always thought but Roger was like, no, I think it needs to be the pin, and they were like, no, we need you to kick it, and Roger was like, I don't think I would do that. Like, I don't think this James Bond would do it. And they were like, right, well, a pin's not going to be believable. I think you need to do something, and they eventually did it, and they were like, "Oh, this is like gritty Roger," and I'm like, "Is it? Is it
But
the
he doesn't wink or raise an eyebrow and it falls.
There was no. But no, he did say a pin. He was like, "Not good with heights" or something along those lines.
Something like that at the end. Yeah, he does.
Not good with heights. His body's lying on a rock. The thing is, I think if he didn't need to do anything. He could have just thrown the pin, and that car was falling. But obviously, it makes it. It is a quite uncharacteristic Roger movie. The whole thing actually is just not very Roger.
Yeah, but the whole not going out with the girl, not wanting sex with the girl, the being violent. But I would counter that by saying he's pretty violent in The Man with the Golden Gun, where he like beats up Maud Adams. Really, he doesn't have as much quips on this film. The only time I have a quip for him is when he said, I hope he was dining alone, when he's talking about the shark.
Oh, the shark, yeah.
Or stinging in the rain.
Oh, when
with the umbrella attacks him.
What would that even be used for?
Why? Surely it's your umbrella.
the guy with the arm placed. I like that. That's staying in that made it feel James Bondy
that they go through his cues.
But then there was a point that was so to go back to this identigraph. I hate this because it actually makes there's like a fade as though hours have went past and they've been brought coffee and they're just
sleeves rolled up.
Aye, that's him. So, oh my god, how long have we been here? Yeah, now that we kind of spoke about it, and especially with the new crew, it kind of feels to me like the new crew just try to find its feet. They've had a brief. The writers are kind of possibly new to writing. They want to make it James Bondy, but then they're told to veer away from anything that is over the top. But then that's the whole appeal of James Bond. They had a reduced budget. Do you know what else I remembered? Which
oh no,
I'm just remembering parts of. So there was the Countess.
Yes.
So I could be wrong here, but the actress that plays the Countess was married to Pierce Brosnan.
It was married to Pierce Brosnan.
Married to Pierce Brosnan, and when Cubby Broccoli. Why did I say Albert Broccoli? Albert Broccoli's his real name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Albert. But I've never really called him Albert before. Cubby Broccoli met him and always kept Pierce Brosnan in the back of his mind. That whole scene with her, and then they were out on the beach, and then they were out on the beach, and he's like, "Oh no, I've had to do with a spy. I just wanted to get information." And then they were out on the beach,
and he's still in his clothes from last night.
And then they had Charles Dance and
the other henchman.
Charles Dance and Locke appear on
shooting buggies.
Yeah, and they're shooting. They're just
He was driving along.
Run her over, which looked like a fucking really hard hit.
Yeah, well,
even for the stunt person.
Noted down at that as another brutal death in this film.
Yeah,
where her head hits the windscreen.
Yeah, that looked really quite painful, even for the person who's the stunt person, even if it was or it was a dummy. But that, and then the gun comes out. And then they're shot. Charles Dance dies.
Yeah. And
then there's a scuba team from somewhere. Where have you guys been? Is this Aquaman that's coming out of the water?
Just appear at the end.
They save him, and then they notice there's a white dove. And then they knock him out.
That's when
go
you're
after him.
You're like, who's who in this? That's what that's supposed to be, isn't it? Who's really the bad guys? Who's working for who? But yes, I knew that was Pierce's wife.
Ex-wife now.
Well, yes. First wife.
Must have been very young at the time.
Oh, must have been.
I mean,
what,
that was
81?
The 80s.
And he didn't get it until
How old was Pierce
years.
Brosnan when he started James Bond? His 30s? That must be 40s.
Must be 40s because it's 14 years after this film.
I don't know. Some he'd here.
I don't know. He did have.
But yeah, that's as much as I've got for that's my rant over. Is it though?
Rant over.
Is it? I don't really know if that's rant over. I don't know. I feel harsh with my words of this movie, but
You are harsh.
now that I'm talking about it, I feel as though there was a lot of restrictions. I know obviously they had a brief to make it, to bring it back,
to earth.
but I don't know why. I get that they didn't want to make it sci-fi. Just don't make it sci-fi. Just see the space and the lasers and stuff.
Yeah, take
just
them out.
take that out. But why would you get rid of the gadgets? Why would you, like? Maybe
But
it's
whoa. Are you gonna?
Whoa! No, just start my Batman mark.
Are you gonna say the exact same thing with Casino Royale though? Because they got rid of the gadgets, the cast, the car, all of that
Casino
stuff.
Royale is what would be noted in that term as the gritty reboot era.
Yes.
And the same can be said of obviously Batman Begins, and the same could be said of a lot of other franchises which I just can't think of right now. And that was the gritty reboot time, and that worked really well. I think the same. The 80s was good, obviously the 80s and the 90s for Timothy Dalton, because that was like the other movies at the time.
Yep.
This was right at the start of the 80s. I don't really know what other movies came out at the time, because like Rambo was 80s, but that was, I think, into like mid into the 80s. Terminator was the 80s, but that was starting to lean further on. I think 81 we can still call it the 70s, because it's not.
It's still a funky soundtrack.
Yeah, it's not really changed that much.
Yeah,
but I think
this was maybe their chance to. They maybe should have recast them as like a new Bond for a new decade, a new gritty. That was probably the time. But they didn't do that because they were coming up against Sean Connery in a couple of years, so they kept him on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Roger did all right in this, and I think it's one of those ones where,
because even Lois Maxwell's Moneypenny's pretty old looking in this.
Yeah, Moneypenny's like tired. Like, I think even Q just kept going.
Never stopped.
Q should have retired by now. I think having Roger was the best idea, because Roger is the moneymaker, and Roger did really well in this movie.
He did.
But then, is it maybe a conflict where you would either have Roger be a much grittier James Bond, like really not unpleasant to watch, but was really like didn't hold back in terms of like violence.
Yeah.
But then that's not Roger, and that if anything, if Roger went in for that, this would have been his last James Bond movie, because it would be like, right, we need to get someone else because this just isn't really working well. But then, if you recast it, you're losing the pull of Roger, but then you could have brought someone in, i.e. like a Timothy Dalton, to say, we need you to go full out here, like this is going to be...
Yeah, but that's what Timothy Dalton did, like 6 years later, would be the gritty...
6 years?
He would be the gritty James Bond in 6 years, so why didn't they just do it now?
I don't think they knew what to do, because again, it's the start of the 80s, they don't know what the audience wants.
The culture's going to be.
Yeah, I guess. The movie beforehand was Moonraker. It was all just about space and stuff. Spy Who Loved Me was still essentially like the decade of love. It was all just about dancing and looking good. Life isn't about grabbing ass and having a good time. That was the old James Bond. But then this one, they wanted to bring it back to reality.
It's ahead of its time.
No, I genuinely don't think they knew what they wanted with this movie. I think they were scared. I think they were genuinely scared of losing money, because, as you said, the studio was
in dire straits. Basically.
I think they were scared of losing money. They wanted to bring some. There must have been some reason that they wrote the script this way, because it's not an entertaining script. And it's been done before. It's very like From Russia with Love.
Well, I thought maybe my opinion was that it was to make it more realistic. A lot of people complained that he was in space, so they wanted to bring it back to like its Ian Fleming roots, where it's just a spy who has to retrieve a gadget that's been stolen or lost before the other spy gets it.
I think they just went too far with it.
Yeah. I think going from that height of Moonraker to nothing is a bit too much of a drop.
I think you've got like the life of a spy is not entertaining in any way, shape, or form. It never has been. It's not a thrill. It's very boring the majority of the time. You've got like realism, and then you've got entertaining. And I think they were just
too much in the realism.
They were trying to bring it to, but then again, I don't know what an audience in the 80s want. I don't know if that's Like Rambo. Rambo is not real in any way, shape, or form. It's gritty. But this guy, like, jumping about the place, I know he's getting, like, cut and stuff like that, but he's fighting off, like, 40 people. Because you get training. Yeah, it's great. Like, that's kind of real, but it's still entertaining. You've still got, like, explosions and action and stuff, and everything's really fast-paced. No one's sitting about having, like, coffee in the Alps with some wee lassie, like, literally jumping in their bed, and then there's some blonde mysterious guy taking shots of you in the forest. Like, I don't know, like, I think there was moments where it was like getting to really exciting, like the car chase was alright. Yeah, the car chase was alright. The ski scenes were alright. The water scene was nah. The climbing scene was nah. And I can't really think of much else that
Do you
kind of went on.
think anything about the music and the song in particular? Do you
I think
that saved it?
I think the song is good. It's it's not catchy. It's just generally a good song.
It's a good James Bond song by Sheena Easton, who's from
Glasgow.
Bells Hill.
Oh well, I'm from Bells Hill. I was born there.
I was also born in Bells Hill.
Were you? We're all from Bells Hill. I have nothing. I think the song is really good,
and Bill Conti's score, who scored the Karate Kid and the Rambo films, but this is his only James Bond score.
Yeah,
recommended by John Barry, the tax exile.
Where was he at this point? In the Cayman Islands.
Well, because he couldn't come over to the UK for the days required.
Oh, good enough. Because the police were waiting.
Yeah. So, but it does, like you said, you kind of touched on, it is kind of 1 foot in the 70s, 1 foot in the 80s, because he has that disco funky beats with the sort of modern music. There's electric guitar in there as well, but it kind of seems even in 81 that kind of score would be dated.
Yeah,
it is a very Saturday Night Fever thing, which is like 5 years early.
The kids maybe wouldn't want it.
And even the gun barrel scene where he's wearing his flared
Stilly's flares, maybe not.
Maybe they should have reshot that. But yeah, I thought the song was good. I would say maybe one of the better James Bond songs. It's exactly what you want from a James Bond song. You can tell it was the 80s, but I think it was very good.
I think it's a good song.
I think it's very good.
Like,
Top.
I think it's more James Bondy than The Spy Who Loved Me, or Nobody Does It Better. I think it's more James Bondy than that, and
not as iconic, but
not as iconic, which I don't really think is fair. But yeah,
and this was the first film to have her in the credits, the singers in the credits.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's that's basically they turn it into a music video. They take off the credits and they say, "Here's your music video," because she's in it singing.
Oh, I didn't notice that. It's a shame we didn't have Big Tom Jones singing his.
Okay, so question number 3, Derek.
Am I answering it?
Yes.
I might not know it.
You probably don't.
No.
So we talked about how Christoph, or whatever his name is, the snowman.
The guy from Frozen.
Yeah. Anyway, we talked about how he's not the best of villains. Oh, probably because he's not even shown as the villain for like an hour and a half into the film. So
the clear communist-looking guy who looks like Lenin.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I would
communist.
He's the villain. A communist. He also touched on the fact that they have coffee in the Alps. So in that scene where they're introducing themselves to each other in the Alps, what drink does Christatos, that's his name,
Christatos, not Christoph?
No. What drink does Christatos offer James Bond on their first meeting when they sit at the table? I'll give you a hint, it's not a martini.
Oh, I was going to say an answer, but I think the answer is right, so I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
Is it MD 2020?
It's definitely not Mad Dog.
It's not Mad Dog. Okay.
So,
I feel like I've worked through a lot with that episode.
I think you very much like hated on it too much. I have to admit, I think this is probably my favourite Roger film, apart from Spy Who Loved Me.
Clearly not your favourite Roger film then.
Second favourite.
Well,
I think he does it really well because, like I said before getting into this, I didn't like the comedic Roger Moore. I thought he was too funny. He wasn't taking it serious enough. It's supposed to be a killer. He's supposed to be an assassin, a killer.
He's killer.
And this, he kind of does do a bit more of that serious James Bond action star instead of the eyebrow-raising clown, which he does become in the next film.
Mary Poppins. Serious action star. Climbing a mountain. bird!
So, we usually talk about their any Bond one-liners or anything, or any trailer-specific, trailer-worthy moments. For me, there wasn't any.
No.
There was nothing. The death of that guy, Loke, or whatever his name is, by kicking the car off, is probably the thing I would have talked about most, or the 2CV chase.
Yeah, I mean, the ski, but there was a few kind of moments with the ski that I thought was good. Do you know what was a really good Bond moment, actually? And I wrote it down and I forgot about it. It wasn't a Bond moment, but I thought it was just good. Is, see when they're being dragged through the water and he manages to go down and ties it round the rock and breaks away from that. I thought that was a bit of a Bond moment because I thought that was just
some good spy.
That was just quite clever. Yeah, that was wise.
That's a scene taken out of Live and Let Die.
He was, yes. And he goes over the coral and his back's all blood and there's sharks everywhere. But the sharks come after him. No. But there is a guy who just falls off the boat for no reason and the sharks go, him. Immediately go to him. I thought that's just quite unfortunate for him. Yeah, not a lot of Bond moments. I think that says a lot about the movie itself. It
does. There's no standout moments. There's no peaks and troughs, I would say. It's a nice steady...
It's just all a trough.
It's all a trough.
Well...
So we've come to the end of the episode, and it's
I get to put the movie,
and it's Derek's turn to rank the film.
So I get to rank the film where it's going to go.
This is the 12th film.
Jack, where do you think I'm going to put the film?
I think you're going to put it pretty low, but I get the opportunity to change it.
You can change that, or you can change another one.
Like I said, this is one of the better. I was pleasantly surprised because I thought coming into the 80s I would start to kind of go off all the films.
There you go.
No, Derek.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I really like this more than that a lot.
No.
Do I save my beloved or do I save this new one?
Your beloved diamonds are pish.
Diamonds are forever. Right, okay. I'm going to swap it. In case anyone doesn't know, Derek's put it right at the bottom, which is a lie.
Which is why, Jack, you've heard me for the last hour. You know why I've put it at the bottom.
I'm going to put it...
Whilst Jack is putting Diamonds Are Forever or For Your Eyes Only in the wrong order somewhere, I'd like to thank you for tuning in this week for this episode. If you've not seen any of the previous episodes, then please go back and have a look at them. We're actually not as brutal as we have been today, or I'm not as brutal as I have been today. Quite complimentary of the previous movies, from Dr. No right through. We also have some specials. We have drink specials. We have recasting specials. We even have ones where we're wearing tuxedos, which we'll have to do soon, because we're getting close to the end of Roger. So yeah, you should go back and have a look at those. And if you like this episode or any other episodes, please give them a like, please give them a share. Tell your friends, tell your family. You don't need to like James Bond. Don't even need to like movies.
All right.
You just need to listen to two wee boys talk about their socks.
Yep.
You do bring up your socks quite a lot of the time. You brought them up in the first episode.
Yeah, I brought them up off camera today.
Right. What order have you put this in now?
Would you like to read it out or show
No, that's not correct.
to the camera?
How is that? I'm sorry. How is it better than?
Come on.
How is it better than Moonraker? Moonraker was pretty terrible, but it's better than Moonraker.
It is better than Moonraker. Moonraker's rubbish.
No, Moonraker's better than For You. Okay,
no,
okay. Now, here's the order that's going to be changed as the weeks go on. So we have still at the bottom Doctor No, which is unfair.
It is.
Then we have Thunderball. Then Diamonds Are Forever. Then Moonraker. Then You Only Live Twice. Then For Your Eyes Only, for some reason. Then On Our Majesty's Secret Service. Live and Let Die. The Man with the Golden Gun. From Russia with Love. The Spy Who Loved Me. And Goldfinger still on top.
Yes.
Do you disagree with it? I do.
Oh, tough. I think that's probably the right thing. But obviously, comment on what you think if you're on any social media.
Yeah, send us an email. People have sent us emails before about the recasting thing, which has been quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you've not seen a recasting thing, go back and look at them. We're up to You Only Live Twice. Because we changed the order around for them, so those have been quite interesting. We'll have to have a drink special soon as well. So that
we're
will
going to
be
have an end of era special soon.
End of Roger. We'll have to make a cocktail called the Roger. The eyebrow.
The eyebrow, yeah. The old man.
What are we talking about now?
Anyway,
thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.